What if I told you that the life you are living right now is only a fraction of what you are truly capable of? What if buried beneath the layers of routine, fear, and compromise, there exists a force so powerful it could shatter every limitation you have ever known? This force has been sleeping quietly, waiting for the exact moment you decide to awaken it. For years, perhaps for decades, you have felt it whispering in the background, telling you that you are meant for more love, freedom, more depth, more meaning. Yet here you are, living in cycles, repeating the same choices, telling yourself the same stories, hoping for a different outcome. The question is, how long will you keep the giant inside you asleep? Before we begin this journey together, take a moment. Subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell, because what you are about to hear is not just another summary of a book. It is an invitation, an experience, a cinematic exploration that may change the way you see yourself and your life. If even one idea here stirs something deep within you, you will want to stay connected, because sometimes a single thought is enough to spark a revolution within. Close your eyes and imagine this. You are standing in a prison cell. The walls are not made of steel. They are made of decisions, tiny choices accumulated over years. The door in front of you is wide open, but you do not walk through it. Why? Because the stories in your mind tell you that you cannot. The voices from your past tell you that you are not ready. The fear in your chest whispers that the world outside is too dangerous. And so, you remain sitting in your cell, believing you are trapped. But here's the truth. Freedom has been waiting for you all along. You only need to step forward. Change does not take decades. Change does not require endless struggle. It happens in a single second, in a decision so sharp it slices through all your excuses. In that moment, everything shifts. You no longer live as the person who waits. You live as the person who chooses, and that choice can alter the course of your destiny forever. Think about the moments in your life where you said, enough. Maybe it was when you walked away from a toxic relationship, or when you finally decided to leave a job that was suffocating you. Maybe it was the day you looked in the mirror and realized you were tired of betraying yourself. Those moments were not random. They were proof that the giant inside you can wake up in an instant. The problem is that most people fall back asleep. They forget that they have the power, and they return to the comfort of their prison. But what if you refuse to go back to sleep? What if tonight was the night you made a decision so powerful that it redefined who you are? Not someday, not next year, but right now. Every revolution in history, every breakthrough in science, every victory in sports began with a decision. Someone, somewhere, drew a line in the sand and said, I will no longer live this way. And yet, we hesitate. We tell ourselves we are not ready. We cling to the old identity because we fear its death. We would rather stay in familiar suffering than face the unknown of freedom. You are not afraid of failure. You are afraid of who you will have to stop being in order to succeed. You are afraid of shedding the skin of your past, of letting go of the stories that once kept you safe. But here's the paradox. The moment you allow that old self to die, the moment you let the giant inside you rise, you discover that the unknown was never your enemy. It was your destiny calling. Beliefs are the invisible architecture of your life. You think they are facts, but they are only stories. Stories repeated so many times that they became laws in your mind. Maybe you believe you are not good enough, or that success is reserved for others. Maybe you believe money is scarce, or that love is fragile. Maybe you believe you are destined to repeat the patterns of your parents. These beliefs feel solid, but they are illusions. If you dare to question them, they dissolve like smoke. If you dare to plant new beliefs, you will harvest a new future. Imagine your mind as a fertile field. Every thought is a seed. Every belief is a tree. If you have been planting seeds of fear, you are living in a forest of despair. If you start planting seeds of possibility, you will walk in a garden of hope. The field does not care what you plant. It will grow whatever you choose. And that means you hold the power. But beliefs alone are not enough. Emotions are the fuel that drive your life. Logic may design the plan, but emotion determines whether you move. Anger can set fire to reason. Fear can chain you to the ground. Love can make the impossible natural. Despair can make the simplest task unbearable. Emotions are not enemies. They are messengers. Fear says, be cautious. Anger says, create change. Sadness says, you have lost something precious. Joy says, this moment is sacred. The mistake we make is not that emotions arrive, but that we hand them the crown and let them rule. The giant inside you does not silence emotions. It listens and then decides. Emotions are signals, not commands. You are not the storm. You are the sky that contains the storm. You are not the waves. You are the ocean beneath them. And the giant within you is that vast, calm power waiting for you to take the wheel. Now think about the language you use with yourself. Every day, words run through your mind unnoticed, but they shape your world. If you say, I cannot, your shoulders collapse, your breath shortens, your energy drains. If you say, I will find a way, your body straightens, your chest expands, your breath deepens. Words are not decorations, they are blueprints. They build the house you live in. If you constantly declare, I am broken, you build a prison. If you declare, I am learning, you build a door. Words ignite or extinguish the giant inside you. And beneath your words lie your values. Those silent priorities that steer your every decision, even when you are not aware of them. You may say you want success, but if comfort is your highest value, you will always choose the couch over the challenge. You may say you want love, but if safety is your highest value, you will always hide instead of opening your heart. Your values are your compass. If the compass is broken, you wander. If the compass is clear, you move with certainty. So ask yourself now, what values am I really living by? Not the ones I claim, but the ones my actions prove. If they are not the values of the life I desire, then the time has come to reorder them. Because when your decisions align with your values, when your words ignite your emotions, when your beliefs expand instead of imprison, then the giant inside you is no longer dormant. It is awake, it is alive, and it is unstoppable. And maybe right now, you're thinking, this sounds inspiring, but can I really change after all these years? The answer is yes, because change doesn't care about time. Change cares about decision. Your past may explain you, but it does not define you. What defines you is the choice you make in this moment. The prison walls are paper thin. The door is already open. The giant is waiting. Pause for a moment and imagine yourself 5 years from now. If you keep living the same way, where will you be? If nothing changes, what will your life look like? And then imagine yourself if you begin tonight planting new beliefs, guiding your emotions, choosing new words, realigning your values. Who could you become? What life could you live? Which of these visions do you want to wake up to?
The truth about transformation is that it never begins in the world outside you. It always begins within, in the quiet place where no one else can see. It is the battle between the voice that says, stay where you are, and the voice that whispers, move forward. For most of your life, you may have listened to the louder voice, the one echoing with fear and doubt. But the whisper is persistent, and it is patient. It never leaves you no matter how many times you ignore it. It is the call of the giant inside you. Think back to the moments when you felt alive, not just existing, but truly alive. Maybe it was a moment of courage when you spoke the truth despite trembling. Maybe it was when you gave something of yourself to another and saw their eyes light up. Maybe it was a time you dared to dream bigger than your circumstances. Those moments were glimpses of the giant. They were fragments of the power that lives inside you. But what if instead of fleeting moments, that power became the rhythm of your entire life? Every day you are faced with decisions, small ones that seem insignificant, but add up to shape your destiny. You choose what to focus on, what meaning to assign to events, what action to take or avoid. Most people live as though these choices are trivial, but the giant knows there are no trivial decisions. Every choice is a vote for the person you are becoming. Each time you choose fear, you cast a vote for limitation. Each time you choose courage, you cast a vote for freedom. It is not the single grand gesture that changes your life. It is the repeated small decisions that carve your character like water shaping stone. You do not become unfit by eating one meal, and you do not become wise by reading one book. But day after day, the accumulation builds until one day you wake up and realize you are living in the body of your choices, the mind of your choices, the soul of your choices. The danger is that many of these choices are made unconsciously. You have handed the steering wheel to old habits and outdated stories without even realizing it. You are driving through life half asleep. The giant within you is shaking you, trying to wake you, saying, "Take back the wheel. You are not a passenger. You are the driver." And perhaps you wonder why it feels so hard, why every time you try to change, you find yourself pulled back into the same patterns. The reason is simple. Your brain is designed to seek comfort and avoid pain. It is ancient wiring, built for survival, not for greatness. To the brain, comfort equals safe, discomfort equals danger. So every time you try to break free, every time you step into growth, your mind screams, "Danger! Go back to what is familiar." But the giant within you knows the truth. Familiar is not safe. Familiar is death by repetition. Growth is life. So the question becomes, how do you retrain this ancient mind? How do you teach it that what feels uncomfortable is often exactly what you need? The answer lies in linking massive pain to the patterns you want to end and massive pleasure to the patterns you want to begin. If you want to break a habit, you must see it not as a harmless indulgence, but as a thief stealing your future. If you want to build a new habit, you must imagine it not as a chore, but as the key to freedom and power. Picture someone who wants to quit smoking. If they only tell themselves, "It's bad for me," they will likely fail. But if every cigarette becomes a vivid image of black lungs, a picture of a broken body, a reminder of children left behind, the pain becomes unbearable. And if every breath of clean air becomes a vision of vitality, energy, strength, and pride, the pleasure becomes irresistible. Pain and pleasure are the twin forces driving all human behavior, and the giant inside you knows how to wield them. But there is another layer even deeper: identity. You will never act consistently in a way that contradicts the identity you hold about yourself. If you see yourself as weak, you will sabotage your own strength. If you see yourself as unlucky, you will filter every event as proof. If you see yourself as a failure, you will find ways to lose even when you're winning. But if you shift your identity, the game changes, because actions follow identity, not the other way around. Do not just set goals, create a new identity. Do not just say, "I want to run." Say, "I am a runner." Do not just say, "I want to read more." Say, "I am a reader." Do not just say, "I want to be confident." Say, "I am confident." The more you live in alignment with this identity, the stronger it becomes. Every action is a brick. Every repetition is cement, until one day the identity is unshakable and the actions flow naturally. You may think, "But what if I don't believe it at first?" That's the beauty. Identity is built through evidence. Small, consistent actions create proof, and the proof convinces the mind. You do not need to believe fully in the beginning. You need only to begin, the belief will follow. Take a moment now. Ask yourself, who do I want to become? Not what do I want to do, but who do I want to be? Because when you define that identity and you cast your daily votes in alignment with it, the giant awakens, not as a sudden burst, but as a steady rising, until one day you look in the mirror and the stranger you once imagined has become the self you truly are. And yet, even with identity, there will be moments of weakness, days when you feel tired, days when old habits call you back. That is why you need a reason bigger than yourself, a mission that pulls you forward when willpower fades. Because willpower is like a muscle. It tires, but purpose is like a river. It flows endlessly. Purpose is what allows people to endure pain, to sacrifice comfort, to keep going when everything around them says stop. Think of the athlete who trains in the dark when no one is watching. Think of the parent who works 3 jobs to give their children a chance. Think of the leader who stands alone in the face of criticism. Purpose fuels them more than comfort ever could. Purpose transforms suffering into meaning. Without purpose, pain breaks you. With purpose, pain builds you. So, what is your mission? What is the vision that, if you lived it, would make your life feel sacred? Not just successful, but what is the contribution that, if you gave it, would make every struggle worth it? The giant within you is not satisfied with survival. It hungers for significance. It wants to know that your life mattered, that your presence made a difference, that when you are gone, the world will not be the same. Perhaps you are thinking, but I'm just one person. How can I change the world? But the world is not changed by crowds. It is changed by individuals who first changed themselves. Your world begins with you, your family, your community, the people you touch daily. If your presence can light one candle, you have already broken the darkness, because light spreads. And once you taste this purpose, once you feel its fire inside you, you will never again be content with mere existence. You will never again settle for drifting, because you will have something worth fighting for, something worth waking the giant for. So, pause now, close your eyes, and ask, if my life were a message to the world, what would it say? Because whether you realize it or not, your life is already speaking. The only question is, are you happy with the story it is telling?
Every emotion you have ever felt has left an imprint on you. A word spoken years ago, a glance, a rejection, a loss. Those moments may be gone, but the feelings still echo. They sit in your body like invisible weights, shaping how you stand, how you breathe, how you see the world. And sometimes, without even knowing it, you let those echoes decide who you are. But emotions are not dictators. They are guides. They are not commands, they are signals. A signal can be read, misread, or ignored. Fear does not mean stop. It means pay attention. Anger does not mean destroy. It means something needs to change. Sadness does not mean you are broken. It means you valued something deeply, and you must honor that. Joy does not mean cling to this forever. It means recognize the beauty of this moment and let it fill you. If you begin to treat emotions as signals instead of orders, you step back into power. The giant within you knows this truth. The giant listens but does not obey blindly. The giant says, I hear you, fear, but I choose to move forward anyway. I hear you, sadness, but I will let you soften me, not shatter me. I hear you, anger, but I will use your fire to build, not to burn. In this way, emotions become allies, not enemies. Messengers, not masters. And here is a secret most people never learn. You can create emotions on demand. You do not have to wait for joy to surprise you. You can breathe deeper, move your body, stand taller, and joy will rise. You do not have to wait for courage to visit. You can imagine the moment you triumphed before and feel it again until courage becomes your companion. Your body is the switchboard of your emotions. Your physiology is the doorway to your psychology. Change how you move, and you change how you feel. Think about the last time you felt defeated. Did you stand tall, or did your shoulders slump? Did you breathe fully or shallowly? Did your eyes look up or down? Your body wrote the script of your feeling. Now, imagine the last time you felt unstoppable. How did you stand? How did you breathe? How did your eyes burn with certainty? That posture, that breath, that energy is available to you right now. You can step into it anytime. The giant inside you knows that emotions are states, not prisons. You can shift state in seconds. But emotions are also shaped by the language you use. The words you whisper to yourself day after day become mantras of truth, whether or not they are true. Tell yourself long enough that you are worthless, and your mind will find evidence everywhere. Tell yourself you are learning and growing, and the same events will become fuel. The difference is not in the world, but in the story you attach it to. Language is the software of your mind. Change the language, and you change the program. Instead of saying, "I am a failure," you can say, "I am a learner." Instead of saying, "I am overwhelmed," you can say, "I am challenged but capable." Instead of saying, "I am stuck," you can say, "I am preparing for a breakthrough." Each word carries an energy. Each phrase creates a frame in which you live, and the giant is waiting for you to rewrite your script. But sometimes the words are not loud enough because the old story is stubborn. That is when you need to use questions. Questions are the steering wheel of the mind. Ask the wrong question, and you drive into despair. Why does this always happen to me? Why am I so unlucky? Why can't I do anything right? Those questions lead you into a tunnel with no exit. Ask the right question, and new doors appear. What can I learn here? How can I turn this into power? What is one step I can take now? Questions direct focus, and focus creates reality. If you want to test this, pause right now and ask yourself a different question. Ask, if I knew I could not fail, what would I try today? Notice what happens to your energy. Notice the ideas that suddenly rise. You did not change your circumstances, you changed the question. And the question shifted your focus, and your focus shifted your state. This is the architecture of transformation. The giant within you is the master of language. It does not accept the script handed down by fear or by society. It writes its own words, it asks its own questions, it creates its own meanings, and in doing so, it creates a new reality. But emotions and language must align with something deeper, values. Without values, your energy is scattered. Without values, your story is hollow. Values are the gravitational force that keeps everything in orbit. If your highest value is comfort, your life will bend toward ease. If your highest value is growth, your life will bend toward challenge. If your highest value is love, your life will bend toward connection. The problem is that most people never consciously choose their values. They inherit them. They absorb them. They live someone else's compass. The giant within you demands that you choose. You must decide what matters most, not in theory, but in action. Look at your last week. What did you prioritize? Did you choose honesty, or did you hide? Did you choose courage, or did you avoid? Did you choose love, or did you protect yourself? Values are not what you say you believe. Values are what you prove with your life. And once you clarify them, you reclaim immense power. So, stop for a moment and ask, what do I value most? Is it freedom? Is it contribution? Is it creativity? Is it truth? And once you see the answer, ask the harder question, am I living it? Because if you are not, then your life will always feel divided, and the giant within you will always remain half asleep. Yet, when your emotions, your language, and your values align, something extraordinary happens. You feel a sense of integrity, a sense that every part of you is moving in the same direction. No more inner civil war, no more tug-of-war between what you want and what you do. There is a peace that comes not from avoiding conflict, but from resolving it within yourself. That peace is power. That alignment is the awakening. And once you taste it, you will not go back. The moment you experience yourself living in alignment, you realize this is how you were meant to live. It feels natural, not forced. It feels expansive, not heavy. It feels alive. And the more you practice it, the stronger it becomes, until one day you realize the old patterns no longer have any hold on you. But even then, the journey is not finished, because life will always test you. It will present you with situations that challenge your beliefs, your emotions, your language, your values. These tests are not punishments, they are opportunities. They are invitations to prove again and again that the giant inside you is truly awake. And with each test, you become stronger. With each challenge, you rise higher. With each obstacle, you carve deeper into your identity. So, let me ask you this. Are you willing to see your next challenge not as an enemy, but as a trainer? Are you willing to see the next pain not as a curse, but as a gift, shaping you into who you must become? Because if you are, then nothing can stop you. Not the past, not the fear, not the opinions of others. Because you will have awakened the only force that truly matters, the force within.
Every destiny begins with a decision. A single choice seems small, almost invisible, like a drop of water. But 1,000 drops carve a canyon. A single step repeated becomes a path, and a path walked long enough becomes a life. Your destiny is not one grand, dramatic moment. It is the sum of the micro choices you make every single day. Think of it. The decision to wake up early or to sleep in. The decision to speak your truth or to remain silent, the decision to reach for the phone and scroll, or to reach for the book and learn, the decision to eat what numbs you or what fuels you. These are not minor. They are monumental because, repeated over time, they sculpt the person you become. Most people wait for the big moment. They imagine that one day something will happen that changes everything. A promotion, a relationship, a miracle, a sign. But the truth is that the giant within you is not awakened by one event. It is awakened by 1,000 small, consistent acts. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you wake it a little more. Every time you choose courage over fear, you strengthen it. Every time you choose love over resentment, you expand it. The giant is built in layers of decision. And yet, the tragedy is that most decisions are made unconsciously. Like sleepwalking through life, we react instead of choose. We let habit decide. We let fear decide. We let culture decide. And then, years later, we look at our lives and wonder why it feels like a stranger built it. The truth is, we built it, but without awareness. Without conscious choice, we surrendered the pen and let someone else write our story. But awareness is a light. Turn it on, and suddenly you see. The next time you feel the pull of an old habit, you can pause and ask, Is this my choice or my autopilot? The next time you are about to repeat a cycle, you can stop and ask, does this lead me where I want to go? That pause, that question is enough to take back the wheel of your destiny. Decisions are powerful, not only because they change actions, but because they reshape identity. Every time you choose, you tell yourself who you are. Skip the workout, you tell yourself, I am someone who quits. Do the workout, you tell yourself, I am someone who honors my health. Tell the truth, you tell yourself, I am honest. Hide the truth, you tell yourself, I am fearful. Each decision is a vote cast for the kind of person you will become. And the more votes you cast, the more solid the identity becomes. And here is the paradox. Once your identity shifts, decisions become easier. If you see yourself as a smoker, it is hard not to smoke. If you see yourself as a non-smoker, it is hard to smoke. If you see yourself as weak, it is hard to act strong. If you see yourself as strong, it is hard not to, because behavior follows identity, and identity is sculpted by decisions. The giant within is not just about willpower, it is about self-perception. Once you decide who you are, the rest follows. So the real question is not, what should I do? The real question is, who do I choose to be? Because if you decide that fully and truly, your actions will align. If you decide, I am disciplined, the behaviors of discipline will flow. If you decide, I am courageous, courage will show up. If you decide, I am loving, love will radiate. The external follows the internal. The giant does not wait for proof to decide. It decides and then creates proof. But of course, the world will test that decision. You will say, I am disciplined, and then temptation will knock. You will say, I am courageous, and then fear will whisper. You will say, I am loving, and then betrayal will come. And in those moments, the easy path is to surrender. But the path of the giant is to reaffirm, to stand again, to say, yes, this is who I am despite the storm. Because identity is not proven in comfort, it is proven in challenge. And notice something. Every great life is not a life of perfect decisions. It is a life of persistent recommitment. Everyone fails, everyone slips, everyone breaks their own rules sometimes. The difference between those who awaken the giant and those who let it sleep is that the first group recommits. They fall, they rise again. They choose again and again until the choice becomes who they are. Let me ask you, when was the last time you made a decision that scared you but freed you? When was the last time you chose to break an old pattern? When was the last time you felt the weight of a new path under your feet? That is the taste of destiny forming in real time. And if it has been too long since you felt it, perhaps the invitation is here now. Right now, in this very moment, there is a decision waiting. A small one, perhaps. Call someone, forgive someone, begin something, end something. It does not have to be dramatic, it just has to be true. And if you choose it, if you take that step, you begin a chain reaction. You might not see it today or tomorrow, but years from now, you will look back and realize that this was the moment the trajectory of your life shifted. And that is the secret of power. Decisions compound. They are like seeds. You plant them today and forget about them, but beneath the soil, they grow unseen. And then one day, they break through, and you stand in the shade of a tree you don't even remember planting. Imagine what your life would look like if you planted with intention. Imagine, instead of scattering seeds blindly, you planted consciously. Courage here, love there, growth everywhere. Imagine walking through the forest of your own deliberate choices. That is the life of an awakened giant. So, don't wait for the big decision, the wedding, the career leap, the dramatic move. Begin with the small ones. Drink water instead of soda. Read a page instead of scroll. Say thank you instead of complain. Each small decision is a rehearsal for the big ones. Each small choice is a declaration that you are awake. And when the big decision does come, you will already have the strength because you built it choice by choice. And here is something to remember. Indecision is also a decision. To delay is to decide to let circumstances choose. To avoid is to decide to let fear win. Every moment you wait, you are choosing not to choose. And in doing so, you are building a habit of hesitation. But the giant within you is not hesitant. The giant knows that clarity comes through action, not before it. That you do not need to know the whole road to take the first step. That destiny does not reveal itself to the passive, it unfolds to the decisive. So, what decision will you make tonight? What decision will you make tomorrow morning? What decision will you make when fear shows up? What decision will you make when comfort tempts you? These are the moments that shape you, and you are shaping them whether you realize it or not. Let me close this part with one truth. Every decision you make either feeds the giant or starves it, either awakens it or lulls it back to sleep, which means that in every moment, you hold the power to rise or retreat, and no one can take that from you.
Every action you take is rooted in a belief. A belief is like the invisible architect behind the walls of your life. You may not see it, but it shapes the structure. You may not question it, but it determines what is possible and what is not. If you believe you are unworthy, every opportunity will feel out of reach. If you believe you are unlucky, every setback will look like destiny. If you believe you are powerful, every challenge will feel like a training ground. The danger is that most beliefs are not chosen, they are inherited. Like hand-me-down clothes you never asked for, they were given to you by parents, teachers, culture, society. Sometimes they fit, sometimes they do not. But without awareness, you wear them as if they were your own. And you wonder why you feel uncomfortable, why your life feels too small for you. Perhaps it is because you are wearing a belief that was never tailored to your soul. Think back to childhood. Think of the first time someone told you that you were not good enough. The first time you were laughed at. The first time you felt small. That moment planted a seed. And if it was repeated enough times, the seed grew into a tree, and the tree became a forest of belief. And now, when you try to walk a new path, you feel blocked, not by reality, but by roots. Invisible, yet unyielding. But here's the truth. Beliefs are not facts. They are interpretations. They are stories you told yourself about what happened. And because they are stories, they can be rewritten. The giant within you awakens the moment you realize that you are not bound by the old script. You are the author, not the character. You can challenge a belief. You can replace it. You can create a new one and live inside it as if it were always there. Consider this. A person who believes people are untrustworthy will live in suspicion. They will see betrayal even where it does not exist. They will push away connection because they are afraid of being hurt. And so they create the very loneliness they fear. A person who believes people are good will open their heart. They will attract kindness because they expect it. They will experience betrayal too, but they will not let it define them. Same world, different beliefs, different lives. So ask yourself, what do I believe about myself? What do I believe about people? What do I believe about life? Because every answer is a door, either open or closed. If you believe I cannot change, you will not try. If you believe I can transform, you will seek the path.
and in seeking, you will find it. Belief is the lens, and the world appears in its color. But how do you change a belief that feels so deep, so unquestionable? The first step is awareness. Catch the thought. Hear the script. When you say to yourself, "I always fail," stop and notice, is that a fact or a story? When you whisper, "I am not lovable," pause and ask, who taught me this? Who benefits from me believing it? Who loses if I stop believing it? Sometimes the act of questioning is enough to crack the shell. The second step is evidence. Your old belief has been gathering evidence for years. Every failure stored, every insult remembered, every rejection replayed. But what about the evidence you ignored? The moments you succeeded, the people who cared, the times you were brave. The brain deletes what does not match the belief. To shift it, you must consciously recall the forgotten evidence, stack it, build a new case until the belief can no longer stand in court. The third step is experience. Create new proof. If you believe you are shy, go speak. If you believe you are weak, go lift. If you believe you cannot learn, go study. Each action is a vote for a new belief, and slowly, action by action, the old story loses its grip, because the brain can't argue with lived evidence. The giant within thrives on new experiences that contradict the old prison walls. But even deeper than all of this is the power of decision. Once you decide that a belief no longer serves you, you can drop it. Some people carry beliefs like chains because they never realize they can open their hands. You are not obligated to keep every thought you inherited. You can thank it for its service and let it go. You can choose a new one right now, and yes, it will feel strange because the old one is familiar, but familiar does not mean true, and comfort does not mean freedom. Imagine what your life would feel like if you believed fully and completely that you are worthy. Imagine waking up every morning with that conviction shaping every interaction, every decision, every moment. How would you walk differently? How would you speak differently? How would you treat yourself differently? That is not fantasy, that is available. It is one belief away. But let me warn you, the world will resist when you change beliefs, because the moment you do, you disturb the systems that rely on your old ones. If you always believed you were weak, those who controlled you may not like your strength. If you always believed you were unworthy, those who benefited from your silence may not like your voice. That resistance is not proof that you are wrong, it is proof that you are breaking free. And you will resist yourself too, because your nervous system craves the familiar. It would rather live in a known hell than an unknown heaven. That is why transformation feels like death, because in some ways it is. The death of the old identity, the death of the old belief, the death of the old you. But remember, death is also a doorway. It clears the ground so something greater can be born. So, here's the challenge. Pick one belief, one that has changed you for years, one that whispers in the dark, one that you know is not true, but feels true. Write it down, look at it, and ask, do I want to carry this for another decade? Do I want to give this belief the power to shape my children, my relationships, my destiny? If not, then decide. Decide now to drop it, to rewrite it, to replace it. And when the doubt comes, when the old voice rises, just smile and say, not anymore. Because the giant within you is not waiting for permission. It is waiting for you to stop believing the lie. It is waiting for you to declare a new truth and live inside it until it becomes flesh and blood, until it becomes the ground you walk on. The giant knows that beliefs are the architecture of destiny,
and that by changing them, you can rebuild your entire life. So, let me ask you, what belief will you challenge tonight? What belief will you bury? What belief will you resurrect? Because your answer will decide whether the giant sleeps or awakens.
Emotions are the language of the soul. They are the colors that paint the canvas of our daily life. They tell us what we value, what we fear, what we long for. Without them, we would be machines, calculating steps, but never truly living. But with them comes a danger, because if you do not master your emotions, they will master you. If you do not guide them, they will guide you into places you never meant to go. Think of the last time you snapped at someone you loved. You did not plan it. You did not write it into your calendar, but anger arrived and took control. And in that moment, you were not the driver. You were the passenger. Or remember the last time you felt paralyzed by fear. You knew logically what to do. You knew the steps to take, but your body refused to move because fear whispered louder than reason. This is the paradox of emotions. They can fuel us or freeze us. They can build bridges or burn them. They can save our life or suffocate it. The difference is not the emotion itself, but what we do with it. Because emotions are not commands. They are signals. They are messengers. They come to tell us something, but too often we treat them as dictators. What if, instead, you treated emotions like children? You listen, but you do not always obey. When a child screams, "I'm scared," you comfort them, but you still cross the street when it's safe. When a child cries, "I want this now," you acknowledge them, but you do not give them poison. You respect their voice, but you remain the parent. In the same way, you can respect your fear, respect your anger, respect your sadness, without letting it rule your choices. The giant within you begins to awaken when you realize that emotions are tools. You can pick them up, you can put them down, you can sharpen them, you can use them to build. Instead of asking, "Why am I feeling this?" ask, "What is this trying to tell me?" Fear might be saying, "Prepare better." Anger might be saying, "A boundary has been crossed." Sadness might be saying, "Something valuable is missing." Once you get the message, you can act with clarity instead of chaos. But here's the trap. Many people confuse emotions with identity. They say, "I am angry," instead of "I feel anger." They say, "I am depressed," instead of "I feel depression." Words matter, because when you say "I am," you merge with the emotion. You make it who you are, and then it is harder to let go. Instead, say, "I notice I am experiencing anger right now." This creates space between you and the feeling, space to breathe, space to choose, space to respond rather than react. And choice is everything, because the quality of your life is the quality of your emotions. If you spend most of your time in states of frustration, resentment, and fear, your life will feel heavy, dark, and suffocating. Even if on the outside you succeed, even if you make money, even if you gain status, if your emotional home is misery, success will taste like ash. But if you spend most of your time in gratitude, joy, curiosity, and love, your life will feel expansive, light, and meaningful, even in struggle, even in loss, even in pain. So the question becomes, how do you shift your emotional home? How do you train yourself to live more often
in empowering states. The first key is physiology. Your body is the remote control to your emotions. Change your breath, change your posture, change your movement, and your feelings will follow. Slouch and breathe shallow, and you will feel weak. Stand tall, breathe deep, and you will feel stronger. Try it right now. Take one deep breath in through your nose. Hold it for a moment, then let it out slowly. Do it again. Feel the difference. That is power in its simplest form. The second key is focus. Whatever you focus on grows. Focus on what you lost, and you will feel pain. Focus on what you have, and you will feel gratitude. Focus on what you cannot control, and you will feel helpless. Focus on what you can control, and you will feel empowered. Everyday life gives you both. It gives you reasons to be angry and reasons to be grateful. The difference is not the events, but where you place your attention. And attention is a muscle. You can train it, you can redirect it, you can decide what world you live in by what you choose to see. The third key is meaning. Nothing has meaning except the meaning you give it. Two people lose their job. One says, "I am worthless, I will never recover," and falls into despair. The other says, "This is the universe pushing me towards something better," and finds the strength to build a new life. Same event, different meaning, different destiny. Meaning is the paintbrush of emotion. If you want different feelings, paint a different picture. And here's the secret. Meaning is always available. You do not have to wait for life to give it to you. You can create it right now. You can look at a failure and say, "This is my training ground." You can look at heartbreak and say, "This is my invitation to love deeper." You can look at pain and say, "This is the sculptor carving my character." When you do that, the giant within you smiles, because it knows you have taken back the power to define your own life. But let's be honest, this is not easy, because emotions feel real. They grip your chest, they shake your hands, they cloud your vision. When sadness comes, it feels endless. When fear rises, it feels permanent. But emotions are waves. They rise, they fall, they crash, they disappear. None of them last forever. The mistake is to build your life on a temporary wave. Instead, learn to surf. Ride it, feel it, let it pass. And remember, the ocean is bigger than the wave. So next time fear visits you, pause, smile, say, "Thank you for trying to protect me, but I am still moving forward." Next time anger boils up, breathe, say, "Thank you for showing me my boundary. Now I will express it with strength, not destruction." Next time sadness washes over you, allow it. Let it cleanse you. And then gently remind yourself, this too shall pass. Because mastering emotions does not mean never feeling pain. It means never being imprisoned by it. It means you can feel the full spectrum of life without drowning in any of it. It means you become the conductor of the orchestra instead of the instrument blown around by every wind. And when you live like that, everything changes. Relationships deepen because you no longer lash out blindly. Work improves because you no longer freeze in fear. Health strengthens because stress no longer corrodes you. The world does not change, but your experience of it does, because you have reclaimed the steering wheel of your inner state. So let me ask you this.
If your life is the sum of your emotions, what sum are you creating? Are you rich in gratitude or poor in resentment? Are you wealthy in love or bankrupt in fear? Are you investing daily in joy or spending recklessly on anger? Because the giant within you is not measured by money or fame. It is measured by the state you live in most of the time. And you have the power right now to shift it.
Every life turns on decisions. Decisions are the invisible architecture shaping the course of our destiny. They are the quiet architects behind every victory, every heartbreak, every failure, every triumph. Yet most people underestimate them. They think decisions are small moments, easy to forget, but history and experience whisper otherwise. Because in truth, your destiny is not shaped by the conditions of your life, but by the decisions you make in response to those conditions. Think of a moment when you made a choice that seemed small at the time, but later changed everything. Maybe it was the decision to say yes to a relationship that altered the entire story of your heart. Or maybe it was the decision to walk away from one that was killing your spirit. Maybe it was a career path, a phone call, a handshake, a word spoken in courage, or silence held in wisdom. Whatever it was, you can trace the river of your life back to moments like these, moments where you stood at a crossroads, even if you did not realize it. The truth is, every decision is like planting a seed. Some grow quickly, others take years. Some blossom into towering trees of opportunity, others wither into weeds of regret. But you are the gardener, and the soil is always waiting. The question is not whether you will plant, but what you will plant. Because no decision is neutral. Even indecision is a decision. It is a choice to let circumstances decide for you. Most people drift because they wait for clarity to arrive. They wait for the perfect conditions. They wait for certainty. But certainty never comes first. It comes after commitment. If you wait until you are ready, you will be waiting for the rest of your life. Decisions are the spark that ignite readiness. Action creates clarity, not the other way around. Tony Robbins says that the moment you make a true decision, your destiny is set in motion. And this is not a poetic idea, it is a psychological truth. Because when you decide with full commitment, your mind begins to align resources. Your focus sharpens. Opportunities appear. What once seemed impossible becomes inevitable. Because your brain loves congruence. Once you decide fully, it starts bending the world to match your choice. But here is the catch. Not all decisions are equal. Some are preferences. I prefer tea over coffee. I prefer one color over another. But true decisions are backed by action. They are commitments cut off from all other possibilities. The word decision comes from the Latin decidere, which means to cut off. To decide is to cut away every other option. It is to burn the boats. It is to say, this is the path, and there is no turning back. Think of Hernan Cortés landing in the New World. He burned his ships, so his men had no way back. Victory or death. That is the power of decision. Because when retreat is no longer an option, commitment becomes unstoppable.
Now ask yourself, how often do you make decisions like that? How often do you cut off the escape routes? How often do you declare to yourself, this is the way forward, no matter what? Because that is where transformation begins. But here is where most of us stumble. We think decisions are about willpower, but in truth, decisions are about standards. The standards you set for your life determine the quality of your choices. If your standard is, I will tolerate an unloving relationship, then your decisions will always keep you trapped. If your standard is, I will never again live in financial chaos, then your decisions will drive you to create stability. If your standard is, I demand joy, passion, and purpose, then your decisions will carve out a life that matches, because your standards are the invisible thermostat of your destiny. And if you want to change your life, you must raise your standards. You must decide what you are no longer willing to accept. You must decide what you are committed to becoming. You must decide what you will demand from yourself and what you will no longer tolerate from the world. Because in that moment, life shifts. In that moment, the giant stirs. In that moment, you stop negotiating with your excuses and start negotiating with your potential. But let me ask you something. What decisions have you been postponing? What choices have you avoided out of fear? What crossroads are you standing at pretending you don't see? Because the truth is, indecision drains more life than failure. Failure teaches you. Indecision imprisons you. Failure shows you what doesn't work. Indecision shows you nothing. It leaves you stuck in a fog where time slips through your fingers. And time is the one currency you can never get back. You can make more money. You can rebuild relationships. You can recover from mistakes, but you can never reclaim the hours you lost in hesitation. And the cruelest truth is this: not deciding is still deciding. It is choosing to let life make the choice for you, and life will not always choose in your favor. So let me bring you to a deeper question. What if right now, in this moment, you made one decision that would alter everything? What if you decided that from this day forward, you will no longer live as a prisoner of fear? What if you decided that you will no longer accept mediocrity in love or work or health? What if you decided that your life must mean something? What would shift? Who would you become? And perhaps the most haunting question is this: if not now, when? Because every day you delay a decision, you strengthen the chains of your current reality. Every day you postpone, you reinforce the prison walls. Every day you hesitate, the giant inside you falls deeper into sleep. But the opposite is also true. Every day you decide with courage, you chip away at the chains. Every day you choose with clarity, you awaken the giant. Every day you commit fully, you step into destiny. So let us be clear. The future does not belong to the most talented or the most lucky. It belongs to the most decisive. Because talent without decision is wasted. Potential without decision is lost. Dreams without decision are nothing but fantasies. But decisions forged in fire become reality. And perhaps you are wondering, how do I make the right decision? How do I know what to choose? The truth is, you cannot always know, but you do not need to,
Because the power is not in always being right. The power is in refusing to stay still. Make a decision. If it works, celebrate. If it fails, learn. But keep deciding. Because momentum is more valuable than perfection. And in this way, decisions become a way of life, not a rare event, not a desperate reaction, but a daily rhythm. Because every day you decide what to eat, what to believe, what to focus on, who to listen to. Every day you decide to build,
And in this way, decisions become a way of life, not a rare event, not a desperate reaction, but a daily rhythm. Because every day you decide what to eat, what to believe, what to focus on, who to listen to. Every day you decide to build or destroy, to grow or shrink, to awaken or stay asleep. Every day is a fork in the road. The question is, are you awake enough to see it? So tonight, as you lie in bed, ask yourself this: what decision have I been avoiding? And if I made it now, how would my life change? And then whisper to yourself, I decide. I commit. I cut off every other option. And feel the power surge inside you. Feel the giant within you stretch its arms and open its eyes. Because your life will not change when the conditions change. It will change when you decide.
If decisions shape destiny, then beliefs are the silent hands that guide those decisions. They are the hidden architects behind every choice you make, every risk you take or avoid, every dream you chase or abandon. Your beliefs are not simply thoughts floating in your mind. They are the lenses through which you see the world. And like lenses, they can clarify or distort. They can reveal or blind. They can empower or imprison. Think about this for a moment. Two people face the same setback. One says, "It is over. I am finished." The other says, "This is just the beginning." The facts are identical, but the meaning is different. And that meaning is born from belief. Because beliefs are not about reality. They're about interpretation. They are the stories we tell ourselves about what reality means. A belief is nothing more than a feeling of certainty about something. It does not need to be true to control your life. It only needs to feel true. And once it feels true, your mind, your emotions, your body, and your behavior fall in line like soldiers obeying a commander. That is why people cling to beliefs that hurt them, because even a painful belief can feel safe. Even a limiting belief can feel certain. And the human mind will choose certainty over possibility almost every time. But here is the tragedy. Most of our beliefs are not consciously chosen. They are inherited. We absorb them from parents, teachers, culture, friends, society. Without realizing it, we carry beliefs about love, about money, about our worth, about what is possible and what is not. And those beliefs shape the walls of the cage we live in. How many times have you heard someone say, "Money is the root of all evil"? Or, "You cannot trust people"? Or, "I'm just not good enough"? Those are not facts. Those are beliefs. And yet for the person holding them, they might as well be laws of physics. And so they act according to them. They sabotage opportunities. They push away love. They live small, not because the world demanded it, but because their beliefs demanded it. But what if your beliefs are wrong? What if the walls of the cage are only shadows? What if the lock on the prison door was never locked at all? What if freedom has been waiting this whole time on the other side of a belief you refuse to question? Because beliefs can be changed. They are not carved in stone. They are patterns in the nervous system. They are meanings you assigned long ago that can be reassigned in an instant if you dare. Consider Thomas Edison. People told him thousands of times that the light bulb was impossible. He could have believed them, but instead, he believed something else. He believed there was a solution. He believed every failure was progress. He believed the answer was waiting. And because he believed it, he acted until the light appeared. Now, millions live in the glow of his belief. Or think of Nelson Mandela, imprisoned for 27 years. The belief that sustained him was not that life was fair or easy. It was the belief that justice and freedom were worth the cost. It was the belief that a man can be caged, but an idea cannot. And that belief shaped not only his life, but the destiny of a nation. So let me ask you, what beliefs are shaping your life right now? Which ones are empowering you, and which ones are poisoning you? Because whether you know it or not, your beliefs are steering every decision you make. Perhaps you believe you are not worthy of love, so you sabotage relationships before they can hurt you. Perhaps you believe you are destined to struggle financially, so you never take the risk that could change everything. Perhaps you believe your voice doesn't matter, so you stay silent even when your soul is screaming to speak. But what if none of that is true? What if you are more powerful than you believe? What if the stories you tell yourself are lies you inherited? What if you could rewrite them? What would your life look like then? Here's the secret. You can. Because beliefs are not facts. They are choices. They are decisions made long ago, often by a frightened child inside you. Decisions that can be remade by the giant within you today. The first step is awareness. You must notice the beliefs running your life. Like shadows, they move silently. But once you shine a light on them, you see them for what they are, illusions. Once you see the pattern, you can break it. The second step is questioning. Ask yourself, is this belief true? Is it always true? Where did it come from? Who gave it to me? What is it costing me? And what would I gain if I let it go? Because when you question a belief deeply enough, it begins to crack. And once it cracks, light gets in. The third step is replacement. You cannot destroy a belief. You must replace it. If you pull a weed out of the soil and leave the ground empty, another weed will grow. But if you plant a strong seed, one that empowers you, the weed cannot return, because the mind abhors a vacuum. So, what belief would serve you? What belief would set you free? Maybe it's the belief that your past does not equal your future. Maybe it's the belief that failure is not the opposite of success, but the path to it. Maybe it's the belief that you are enough as you are, worthy of love, capable of greatness, destined for meaning. Whatever it is, anchor it into your nervous system. Feel it, speak it, act as if it were already true. And soon it will be. Because the truth is, beliefs are self-fulfilling. Once you believe something, your brain filters reality to confirm it. If you believe people are kind, you will notice kindness everywhere. If you believe opportunities are abundant, you will see doors opening. If you believe you are doomed, you will notice every shadow and miss the light. And so, the giant within you is not sleeping because life is cruel. The giant is sleeping because your beliefs have sung it a lullaby of limitation. But you can change the song. You can awaken the giant with new beliefs. Beliefs that breathe fire into your decisions. Beliefs that open doors where walls once stood. Beliefs that remind you that you are not small, you are not broken, you are not powerless. You are infinite. And maybe right now you feel resistance. You feel the weight of old beliefs pulling you back, whispering, "You cannot change. You will fail again." It is too late. And that's when you must remember. The loudest voice is not always the truest. The strongest chain is often an illusion. Test it, push it, see if it really holds, or if it falls apart the moment you dare to move. Because the day you change a belief is the day your life changes forever. It is the day you take back authorship of your story. It is the day you realize you were never trapped. You were only convinced you were. So tonight, as you close your eyes, I invite you to ask one question. What belief have I carried that no longer serves me? And what belief will I choose instead? And as you breathe, feel the shift, because that question may awaken more than just your thoughts. It may awaken the giant within you.
Emotions are the invisible currents that move beneath the surface of your life. They are the unseen winds that push your sails toward one shore or another. Sometimes they carry you gently forward. Sometimes they crash against you like a storm. And yet most people drift without ever learning how to navigate them. They believe emotions simply happen like weather, random, uncontrollable, temporary. But that is not the truth. Emotions are messages. They are signals from the depths of your nervous system telling you something must be addressed. A pang of sadness whispers that you have lost something valuable. Anger roars that a boundary has been crossed. Fear trembles that a danger might be ahead. Joy glows that something precious has been found. And love sings that connection has been made. These emotions are not accidents. They are guides. They are the language of your soul. But here is the paradox. Most people either drown in their emotions or deny them entirely. Some are slaves to every passing mood. Their day is dictated by whatever feeling arrives, like leaves blown by the wind. Others suppress emotions, bury them under busyness, numb them with distraction, and pretend they are unaffected. Both paths lead to suffering, because to drown is to lose yourself, and to deny is to lose your humanity. The real power lies in mastery, not in eliminating emotions, but in listening to them, understanding them, and then choosing your response. Because emotions are not commands, they are invitations. You do not have to obey fear. You do not have to surrender to anger. You do not have to cling to sadness. You can hear their message, thank them for it, and then decide. Imagine for a moment a person who feels fear before speaking in public. They believe the fear means stop. But what if it actually means prepare? What if the butterflies in their stomach are not warnings of doom, but signals of importance? The body is saying, this matters, get ready. That simple shift in meaning transforms fear from a prison guard into a coach. And suddenly, what once paralyzed becomes fuel. Tony Robbins often says that the quality of your life is the quality of your emotions. Think about that for a moment. Because no matter what you achieve, if you live in states of stress, anger, and despair, your life feels empty. But even with little, if you live in states of gratitude, love, and joy, your life feels full. The external circumstances matter less than the internal states. And those states are emotions. So how do you take command of this inner world? How do you shift from being a passenger to being the captain? The first step is awareness. You must notice your emotions in real time, not hours later, not after damage has been done, but in the moment. Ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Name it, because to name an emotion is to bring it into the light. And once in the light, you can work with it. The second step is meaning. Remember, every emotion is a signal, Ask, what is this emotion trying to tell me? What does it want me to notice? What belief or perception is creating it? Because often it is not the event itself, but the story we attach that gives birth to emotion. Two people lose a job. One says, I am worthless. The other says, this is my chance to reinvent. The event is identical. The emotion is not. And the difference is meaning. The third step is choice. Once you understand the message, you can choose how to respond. You can breathe. You can move your body. You can shift your focus. Because emotion is created by three forces: what you focus on, the meaning you give it, and the physiology of your body. Change any one of these and the emotion shifts. Change all three and the emotion transforms entirely. Picture someone slumped shoulders down, voice low, eyes unfocused, saying, I feel hopeless. Can they feel joy in that posture? It is almost impossible. But if they stand tall, shoulders back, take a deep breath, focus on something they love, and say out loud, I will find a way. Do you feel how the state changes instantly? Because emotion is not just in the mind, it is in the body. And when you command the body, you command the state. Now imagine harnessing this, not just once, but daily. Imagine training yourself to shift from anger to curiosity, from fear to courage, from stress to gratitude. What would your life look like if you could summon empowering emotions at will? Would you procrastinate as much? Would you give up as quickly? Would you settle for less than you deserve? Or would you rise because you feel unstoppable? Let me tell you a story. There was a soldier returning from war, scarred both in body and spirit. Every sound reminded him of violence. Every shadow felt like a threat. His days were filled with fear, his nights with terror. He believed he would never know peace again. But one day, in a moment of exhaustion, he sat by a child playing in the dust. The child laughed with such innocence, such joy, that something broke open in him. He realized that though fear still lived in his body, love could live there too, and that love was stronger. From that day, he practiced gratitude each morning for one small thing, and over time, the fear lost its power. He did not erase his emotions, he learned to master them. And perhaps this is your challenge too. Maybe your life feels like a storm of emotions you cannot control. Maybe you are tired of being a hostage to moods. Maybe you long for freedom. That freedom begins when you realize emotions are not chains. They are keys. They are not punishments, they are guides. When you stop fighting them and start listening to them, they become allies. But let me ask you this. What emotion has been your home lately? What is the state you live in most of the time? Because that state is shaping your destiny. Do you live in anxiety? Do you live in anger? Do you live in resignation? Or do you live in courage, gratitude, determination? Because whatever state you live in long enough becomes the climate of your life, and climate shapes everything that grows in it. The truth is, you cannot control the wind, but you can adjust the sails. You cannot stop emotions from arising, but you can decide how to ride them. And when you learn to ride them, you are no longer a victim of the storm. You become the master of the sea. So the next time fear knocks on your door, open it and ask, what are you here to teach me? The next time anger rises, listen, what boundary needs protecting? The next time sadness whispers, lean in. What have I loved that is precious enough to grieve? And then take the lesson, let the emotion flow through, and choose your path. Because the giant within you is not awakened by denying emotions, but by mastering them. And maybe right now you feel overwhelmed. Maybe you wonder if it is really possible to shift emotions that feel so strong, so heavy, so consuming. But remember, Even the strongest storm passes. Even the darkest night ends. And the dawn always comes. And with it, a chance to feel something new, something empowering, something that awakens the best in you. So I invite you, in this moment, to breathe deeply. Place your hand on your heart, feel its rhythm, and whisper to yourself, I am not my emotions. I am the one who chooses. And as you do, notice how even now the state begins to shift. Because mastery begins not in grand gestures, but in small choices repeated. And each choice awakens the giant a little more.
Every life is directed by an invisible compass, and that compass is values. They are the silent priorities that decide where your energy flows, what choices you make, and what destiny unfolds. And yet most people never stop to examine them. They live by borrowed values, adopted from family, culture, peers, or society, without questioning whether those values truly belong to them. Think about it. Why do you make the decisions you make? Why do you choose one path over another? Why do you sacrifice certain things while chasing others? It is not random. It is not chance. It is values. If freedom is at the top of your list, you will walk away from jobs that cage you. If security is higher, you will endure even in places that suffocate you. If love is your North Star, you will give everything to relationships. If achievement is central, you will burn the midnight oil chasing goals. Every choice whispers your values, even when you are not aware. But here's the challenge. When values are unconscious, they often conflict. You may say you value health, but also comfort. You may claim honesty, but also approval. You may want success, but also peace. And when those values collide, you feel torn, paralyzed, confused. Because the compass spins in two directions at once, and you cannot move forward. Clarity of values is power. Because when you know what truly matters, decisions become simpler. Not always easier, but clearer. You no longer waste energy on endless hesitation. You no longer live someone else's script. You begin to walk your own. Tony Robbins often shares that values are like the hierarchy in your nervous system. The order matters. Imagine a person who values success first and family second. They may achieve much, but feel lonely. Another who values family first and success second may live with less money, but deeper bonds. Neither is right or wrong, but the order shapes destiny. And without awareness, the order is often accidental. So let us ask a deeper question. What do you value most? Not what you think you should value, not what looks good on paper, but what truly guides you. What are the states of being you pursue above all else? Is it freedom, love, contribution, growth, adventure, comfort, security, recognition, honesty, courage? Because if you do not know your top values, you are sailing blind in a sea of endless options. Take a moment now to reflect. If you had to sacrifice everything but keep only 3 values, what would they be? Which 3 would you refuse to compromise, no matter the cost? Because those are the ones that define you. But values are not only about what you pursue, they are also about what you avoid. For some people, their life is shaped less by what they seek and more by what they fear. They avoid pain, humiliation, rejection, conflict, and so their values become distorted. Freedom is no longer freedom, but an escape from control. Love is no longer love, but a desperate attempt to avoid loneliness. Success is no longer growth, but a shield against feeling unworthy. Until you confront these avoidance values, they will sabotage your highest intentions. Let me tell you a story. A man grew up in poverty and swore he would never feel that shame again. His highest value became wealth, and he built a fortune indeed, but along the way, he sacrificed health, neglected love, and abandoned friends. At the end of his journey, he had money, but no peace, because his true compass was not wealth, but the fear of poverty. And fear as a compass always leads you back into storms. Now contrast that with another who grew up in hardship but made contribution his highest value. He too built wealth, but every step was guided by the desire to serve, to give, to uplift. His fortune became fuel for change. His life became a legacy. The difference was not luck. The difference was values. So let me ask you, what is driving you? Is it love or fear? Is it contribution or avoidance? Is it growth or comfort? Is it courage or safety? Because whichever you choose becomes the path you walk. And here's a truth few want to admit. Sometimes we outgrow our values. What once served us begins to limit us. The value of approval may have helped you fit in as a child, but now it strangles your authenticity. The value of safety may have protected you in danger, but now it chains you to mediocrity. The value of achievement may have driven you to climb mountains, but now it leaves you exhausted, longing for connection. To awaken the giant within you, you must update your values, just as you update a map, because a map that once guided you home may now lead you astray. So, I invite you to examine your own hierarchy. Take a sheet of paper and write your top values in order. Then ask, do these reflect who I am today? Or are they remnants of yesterday? Do they empower me or limit me? Do they express my highest self or my hidden fears? And then, with courage, reorder them. Because when you change your values, you change your destiny. Imagine if contribution became number one. How would your life look? Imagine if love replaced fear. How would your choices shift? Imagine if growth guided you instead of comfort. Where would you be a year from now? Because values are the architects of the future. But knowing your values is not enough. You must also live them daily, consistently, authentically, because many claim values but betray them in practice. They say they value honesty, but lie to avoid conflict. They say they value health, but sacrifice it for convenience. They say they value love, but choose pride over forgiveness. The giant within awakens, not when you declare values, but when you embody them. And sometimes embodying values demands sacrifice. Choosing integrity may cost you approval. Choosing courage may cost you safety. Choosing love may cost you pride. But in that sacrifice, you become whole. You align your outer actions with your inner truth. And that alignment is power. That alignment is freedom. So pause and ask, what have my choices revealed about my values this year? What story are my actions telling? And if that story does not match the one I want to live, then now is the moment to rewrite it. Because values are not fixed. They are chosen, and you can choose again. Remember, the compass does not control the journey. It guides it. You must still take the steps, face the storms, endure the nights, but with the right compass, you will not drift lost. You will move steadily toward the life you were meant to live. And perhaps right now, you feel uncertain. Maybe you wonder if you even know what you value anymore. Maybe life has scattered you in many directions. But here's the gift. Clarity begins the moment you ask the question. The act of seeking your values is itself the awakening. And once awakened, the compass will begin to point, and your path will begin to clear.
So breathe and whisper to yourself, what do I truly value? And let that answer not just pass through your mind, but anchor into your heart. Because when your heart knows your path, no storm can pull you away.
So here we pause our journey through Awaken the Giant Within. But this is not the end. It's only the first half of the story. The second part dives even deeper into the tools, the psychology, and the hidden forces that shape every decision you make. If this first part has sparked something inside you, then wait until you hear what comes next. The giant is only beginning to stir.